Hello, we're the Infamy Fantasy Sports team, and we're running fantasy sports tournaments at infamy.gg. So check that out. But today we're here to talk about Valorant. Valorant released on Tuesday, and we're gonna give it a run through of the release and what we kind of expect from it, what we said we'd expected, and how it actually played out. So it released on Tuesday, and crisis giveth and crisis taketh away, because they had a huge beta because of the quarantine. Everyone's stuck at home. It was the perfect time for that. But then they actually released their game on the day of like the Black Lives Matter like internet blackout, where people were supposedly not on the internet. So that probably hurt um, their initial launch numbers, and their Twitch numbers have dropped significantly from the beta without, the drops behind it, and possibly because people just aren't, they got their sample of it and they kind of figured out it isn't for them. So what do you guys think of the launch week has been for Valorant?
I think it's doing a little bit better than we expected. We've had two previous videos in the past where we kind of shit on Valorant, and my prediction for this release was it wasn't going to be good. I
And we'll
was
do
just
it
looking.
again.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, we're not afraid to shit on it a third time, but yeah, I was expecting it to like its Twitch numbers to just after the release to just completely tank, but it's doing about 150K right now, which is pretty good. But
I mean, it also
I
has a
wonder if
Twitch
it'll be
Rivals
able to.
event right now, so.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Uh,
I
they're,
wonder
they're
if
they're
it'll be.
not, just real quick on the numbers. It's
Mhm.
just they're not like stacking up to like juggernauts like League of Legends and Fortnite. But it's
Yeah,
like, did we kind of did, just because they had the hype around it, it's still the beginning of the game. So did we
yeah.
expect it to really match up at this point?
No.
Well, with a new release, you would expect it to be up there, uh,
I mean,
somewhere up there.
I think it's right where it should be, because it is. If you Fortnite's like up there because it's not as casual as it was, but like it's still that was like a phenomenon, and then League is
Mhm.
just like a decade old, and then other it's catering towards a super niche audience, the sweaty hardcore FPS,
Mm.
CS:GO audience.
I don't know.
So I think it's doing pretty well for all things considered right now.
I don't think it feels like a release. I think
Yeah.
the beta felt like the release, and that's where all the hype was. And then they thought, oh, this was enough advertising. They didn't really market their actual release of their game, and this is why you
Uh,
get
I
pretty
think
flat numbers.
I think they
That's a good
did,
point. But
but
even 150K is still, regardless of Twitch Rivals going on,
They
it's
were
still
at
pretty.
I mean
millions.
it's
They were at
They were at 1 million.
like
But
if you
that
had
was also fudged, like we said in previous videos, by the
Yeah.
drops.
bots and
Mhm.
and the drops were a very big push about why people were viewership on Twitch is also not great, right?
Yeah, I have them at
Down
1.7
across all
million peak.
platforms, they're down 70%.
I mean Fortnite's beating it by what, almost 40K,
30K, I think.
about
It's 30,
40K.
40.
Yeah. And what's going on
Yeah,
in Fortnite right now? Nothing.
nothing. Yeah,
Yeah, they're
it's
in
it's
between
it's in
seasons.
between seasons, and it's still doing 100K. Scrims are going on right now, but that is a good point that you brought up. It really didn't feel like a release. It felt like once they got all their beta codes out, you just didn't really hear, or I personally didn't hear anything about the game. Like no new updates. Like they released with the official release, they released a new character.
A new
Didn't find
map
that out.
and
New
a new game
character, new
mode.
map.
I had
Yeah,
no idea
didn't.
until you
Yeah,
mentioned it, to be honest. I had no
yeah.
idea. She
Which
looks
is
cool.
And
weird.
She
Do you
looks
feel like
cool.
that's mainly because the four of us don't find this style of game that like our
Dude, I
bread and
like
butter? It's like,
CSGO. I like CSGO.
do
I
Yeah,
you?
and I
don't
like
like
follow Valorant and all that stuff, and I didn't really see anything. Maybe because a lot of people that I follow who were playing the game
Hmm.
stopped playing it, which is another thing that's happened
Hmm.
since the beta ended. A lot of people have gone back to their respective games, which is definitely not a good look. We were,
I feel like
I want,
they were kind of counting on content creators to like just cover it all, because it's just such a hot new thing that everyone like, and that sprouts a bunch of content creators and streamers trying to dedicate like start a career off it. So they're kind of expecting them to do a lot of the heavy lifting from their marketing.
yeah. But then that comes down to the major problem. There is no content in that game. It's it's a competitive game, yes, but from a viewer spectator, it's hard to not hard to watch. It's just
I mean, I think it's pretty
there's
easy
no
to watch.
spectacle really. It's easy to watch, but there's no spectacle.
I mean, there's the
There's
pop-off moments, but like, I don't know. I was watching the Twitch Rivals group stages yesterday, and compared to whatever, I forget what was like that first big. Maybe it was another Twitch Rivals. I don't remember. For like when the beta first came out.
The one we talked about.
I think so.
Oh,
And
yeah,
like it
the
was
one with
not. It was
the
cool,
dev
like
team in
day
it.
and night, maybe, or maybe it was the.
Yeah, it had the dev team in like the Overwatch and
Yeah, it
that
was
was
the
the
ESPN
ESPN
one.
one.
the ESPN.
The gameplay was day and night, completely different. Like you were seeing people just utilizing abilities on like a much more advanced level than there were like a month ago. But like I don't know, I was enjoying it, but like I wasn't captivated by it. It was still a lot of for me. It's like it's too much. There's just too much kind of like random spikes of action and like too much lulls in it.
And I think that's one of the big problems with the game itself. It doesn't captivate your attention like Fortnite or like even Overwatch can throughout a whole game. You're even like in the dead moments of Fortnite, you're still on edge because like anything can happen at any given moment. With Overwatch, there's just like so much crazy stuff going on. Just keeping up with the action itself is exhilarating. And then you have Valorant where it's like, oh, is he gonna head glitch? Is he gonna head glitch? Oh, he head glitched. He head glitched that kid so hard, and then it's like game. Like you
Yeah, I feel
can't.
like Fortnite, even though Fortnite is like has the slow moments, it's always going to build up to like that crazy chaotic finish,
Mhm.
and like and Overwatch has just those organized team fights that it's always going to be like, okay, a team fight ends, 10 seconds later, there's going to be another like huge chaotic clash.
Yeah, and
But
another example of that is like League, like the beginning stages of the game where you're just laning, it's super slow, and then once a tower goes down, you break out into the team fights, and then it just becomes that whole chaos just breaks out, and it becomes a spectacle
or
to
you can
watch.
just like be super aggro during the laning phases and just if you're a jungler
Hmm.
sees an opportunity getting those early laning early laning kills could snowball and then like that accelerates the game in a different direction. So yeah,
yeah, it
um,
adds to the storyline of the match.
like even when
But
there's like ultimates being used in Valorant, it's cool. It's like really cool seeing like Raze like fly around with her rockets and then the new character. Oh my gosh, now I'm just blanking on her name.
I think it's
Reina,
Yeah,
Spectra or Reina.
yeah, Reina. She's like the most interesting character. We were talking about this off camera. It's like she just seems like a really cool character combination of Reaper from Overwatch and Bloodhound from Apex. Just her ultimate kind of like accelerates her fire rate and animations, and then just her utility kit. But even with those ultimates, there's not that like prolonged fight. Everything's the time to kill is just so short that those cool
Hmm.
moments are just like a flash in a pan, at least to me.
Hmm. No, that's what it feels like when you watch it. I tried to get into it, and it's just there isn't that captivation. It's there. Maybe it's just because I'm not interested. Maybe you can speak more to it, Blake, since you did play CS:GO in the past, and CS:GO is a pretty huge game
All right,
still to this day,
out of left field, it's the map design. The map design is dog shit. It
isn't
honestly,
it? Based off of CS?
dude, it comes down to a couple corners on most maps, and like I haven't watched the pro scene, so maybe they've gotten around it. When I was playing it, and I only played it a little bit, you know, most of the time you're peeking on the same couple corners on kids, and that's really all you're doing the whole time. And I got burnt out of the game, because it's just like this is not entertaining to play. I can't imagine how it is in the pro scene if that's actually what high level play looks.
So I've never played CS. What's the difference in the map structure
There's a lot of
between?
obstacles in between them. There's a
Can you
lot
like
of
climb them in CS
no,
or
not even
no?
that. Well, there's a lot of variance in like the maps. There's
Mhm.
like there are cars, boxes, random shit all over the place. Like
plus open.
in CS:GO.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
in Valorant, it's very wide open areas where you're having gunplay where it's very accurate and they're like Jake was saying, very low time to kill. So everybody's very cautious. So you're not going to have a lot of movement, and there's not going to be like you're going to know where the enemy is most of the time.
I think
We
that's
all,
because of the moves, though, because like the moves are supposed to be like the obstacles and cover for you, and like if
it's
you have a bunch of
not
boxes in the
a
way.
bullet sponge. It's
What?
not a sponge is the problem.
Yeah, you can like throw down a smoke, but they'll still shoot through it. And like
I
I learned recently, sorry to cut you off, like that you can shoot through walls in Valorant. I was watching DeFran
yeah,
play, rest
it
in
doesn't
peace to
matter.
him for on his farmer journey. But yeah, I was watching him play, and I learned that you can literally shoot people through walls. He was just like he wouldn't even peek the corner; he would just like shoot the edge of the corner, get a headshot.
Yeah, it's just like Siege.
That's
Yeah.
how CS:GO is as well.
Mhm.
And it's just like that's the problem with it. It comes down to like fucking corner peeking and everything, and like then the kids are gonna learn how to shoot through walls, right? But then there's no counterplay on top of that for like at least for like a casual audience, right? No one's like gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna bring this over from my from whatever shooter that I play. Like I'm gonna crouch behind this box and peek up and then like catch the kid slipping. You know, I'm gonna throw a smoke. I'm gonna move up to this box and then I'm gonna be there, and then he's gonna think I'm gonna be back there, right? There's no there's not really any chances for that in the Valorant map. Very wide open, like there's supposed to be team fights. I don't know if the game was balanced differently at one point, but it feels like there's a disjoint between the design of the levels and the actual game.
Yeah,
So you're
and
saying
that team
you,
fights thing you brought up is a good point because it doesn't feel like the abilities have synergy with each other outside of a select few.
do you think that's
Mm,
mainly because it's so new that people haven't figured out how to properly be in team fights? Like in Siege, there's still like team fights. There's still moments where like you group up with like on a 3-on-1 to take out a person who's holding a very strategic position. Like when I'm watching Valorant, it feels like a lot of just a series of one-on-ones, maybe a
Mhm.
2-on-1, but like it doesn't feel that cohesive as like a team versus team.
well, I don't think that they're like Darren was saying. I don't even think that it needs to be synergies, but like there's not really much that you can do as a teammate to help your teammate in these games. You know, like you throw your ability down, everybody has a smoke pretty much. But that's really the only utility that you have other than your gun. And like what else are you supposed to do for your teammate, you know, other than like an
Well,
open
I was
fragger?
watching people use the sage wall to lift their boys up at an
Yeah,
odd
yeah.
angle and stuff like that, and then like
I
someone
feel like
was
what you're
using the Phoenix wall to like bring their boy in, and he throws his flash around that, where in the middle of like one of the big open areas, normally he'd get destroyed, but they coordinated with the Phoenix wall to
I
get him
still
to
feel like
that.
the thing you're supposed to do is shoot them while they're shooting your boy, and I think that is like the prime synergy that you get most of the time. It's just like, well, now I know where he's shooting from, and I'll be
Yeah,
sure
the
to get him for you, bro.
sacrificial lamb play is like the ultimate play. Only that's all you got. You know,
Um,
I just don't. It's not odd. Like, okay, so the game, like, we know that it's supposed to be. It's designed to be an esport, right?
Yeah.
mhm.
These and like these plays are going to be emergent, right? Like CS:GO strategy as it is today didn't form in a couple months. You know, like it's been years of them developing it
I
over
think,
time.
like Jake said, it's fair to start in this like really scrappy 1v1, just like outskilling the other person, but it is possible to develop over time. But continue.
Yeah, I just don't think that the kits have that robust like variance where you're going to see like team fights in these large areas. Most of the time, like it comes down to synergizing with your team to get mobility on these wide open lanes when you could just put a box there as a dev. You know,
Yeah, that's a
like
good
that.
point.
That's really the only problem that I have with the game is that if you have teammates that aren't going to help you move up, you're kind of stuck in the back. And I think that that's going to really hurt their casual audience or like early adopters, right? Because like,
Mm-hmm.
who's going to want to peek on the same corner every match? It's going to get boring after a while.
Yeah, and that brings us to our next point with Valorant being a esport. How are they going to be able to pull these viewers when, like you said, like who you don't have that casual audience that wants to turn into a competitive player and then competitive players are too busy playing the game to be watching the game unless you're like super trying to learn something or into a player. It just really narrows down who your viewers are of this quote unquote esport.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer for that. How are they going to build a community around a game where it's designed specifically for pros? And then how are they going to keep pros interested in a game when there's not a lot of viewership, or they're getting less viewership than the games that they come from? Right. I think a large majority of their plan was to poach pros from other games that aren't happy in their situation and be like, yo, we designed this game, you know? And a lot of these kids are coming from shooters and they're like, wow, this game does feel really good. And I think that's what a lot of the hype was from like influencers in the pro scene was this game feels nice, feels
Yeah.
right, you know. But like then they look at their viewer numbers and they're at like they're down 25% viewership because over time people do like I don't care, you know. And you're
Yeah.
going to see flight from this, like you see it now with the release. You see how many people that were like, "Yo, I'm leaving this game for," and they went back in a month.
Yeah, that's been the talk of this past week. A lot of people I saw a couple Fortnite kids tweet out that if you left for Valorant, we don't want you back. You know, as if that means anything. It's just
I think it's funny that like Sinatra left and it was such a big deal, but at the same time, like he could probably go back whenever he wants to
Yeah,
Overwatch
totally.
League, like,
Mhm.
There's a
especially, and that becomes
there's
If
gonna be a
anything, it'll
team
yeah, it'll
shitty
make
enough
them it'll
that
make
they're
them
like,
look
we'll
so
take
good
him.
too. They'll be like, yeah, he left and then he came back. You know, we're better.
It'd be funny if he was bad though, because the game moves pretty fast. Where people who were good last year,
Yeah.
are getting outpaced this year. But I do think that it's just a huge problem that it isn't. It's like I was reading some article called Valorant the anti-Overwatch because it's so unfriendly to new players and like casual people to get into it because it requires a lot of time and dedication to like be good enough at the game to really get into it and enjoy it. You can't just jump on and play a game like here and there. Like
Mhm.
they need to stick to it, and like that's because they designed it to be very like pro catered.
I feel like
But
it's kind of has those similarities that the FGC has. It's like there's a very high barrier of entry. You have to put in those extra hours, and then most likely you're gonna have to go to outside resources to look into how everything works, and then you're gonna
Yeah.
get the shit beat out of you for a long time until you get to a point you have enough hours dedicated to it that you are, on par with the majority of
Yeah.
people coming from CS.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to clarify that. I don't think that these games should like handhold players and just cater to them so that way they can just play like some broken character and be on the same playing field. Definitely not. You should the people who are good at the game have practiced the game and are good, and that they earn it. But at the same time, if you want to build a community, you can't really build a community around only diehard players because you're not. It's gonna be too hard to get new players. Maybe like what's 10% of players are interested in playing Valorant just for the competitiveness of it. What about the 90% other people that you're trying to pull into your game?
and
Also,
especially for an esport where the audience has to be is usually made up of
Yeah.
more casual people who kind of want to watch to get better, but if there's no hope of them being good enough to actually play, they're not going to want to watch. They're going to just
Yeah.
be like, all right, this isn't for me. And then you can't really have an audience of it's like you have the pros playing and then an audience entirely of pro hopefuls. Like that isn't going to be
Yeah.
enough to keep you afloat. Like
Mhm.
also
Then
too, like, there's no levels to this, right? At a casual level, the game's not fun, right? Like it's not fun to play the game like peeking corners like I was talking about. Like pro level play, like you're gonna grind through all this, not have fun for that whole time. And in what hopes of being a pro player? Are you gonna have fun then?
I think
Like
it's the same thing as Overwatch. You play Overwatch and grind out ranked in Overwatch for hopes of maybe one day getting a full 6v6 match and having a full
dude, I still have fun. I can still have fun by myself. My whole team can be garbage. I'm gonna be Torbjorn, and I'm just gonna like just pop some heads, and that's it. Like I can have fun playing that game because the characters are at least interesting
yeah.
to play. Like there's not a lot of variance in Valorant. Like even with their different
Yeah.
skins.
And yeah, like you said, they substitute that long ass grind to get that one game where it's a full on 6v6 by having these characters that are like, all right, well, maybe this game sucked that I was in. I had two throwers or whatever someone left. But at least I played a fun character. Valorant, no, you don't. You
You
don't
also
get
have
that.
different game modes.
Yeah, and then
That's
they
a
have different
huge
game
thing
modes.
too. There's not a lot of variety of play in that game either.
It would be
Yeah,
interesting to see if they did like some kind of team deathmatch mode. It doesn't have to be competitive or ranked. Just could be something to for people to just play and get a hang of. Because like Fortnite did Team Rumble, which I think helped a lot with bridging the skill gap between casual because it's a game mode where you can just drop in and you have unlimited
Yeah, that's
respawns
all I
until the
play.
kill. Yeah.
That's all I play for that.
Yeah.
and
But
we'll
Boys,
see when.
boys behind me making up for my missed shots.
But CS:GO and Overwatch, they added deathmatch, and they're not competitive modes, but they're most people use it as like a warm up mode, so
Yeah.
they can kind of so they don't just go in, get destroyed, and be like, okay, maybe my second match I'll be able to actually be
Yeah,
good.
next
It's
thing you
just
know,
kind of
you're
more
like
casual.
down, you're 0-5, and it's like, oh, and then you're
This
just like,
is
fuck this,
fun.
and then you quit.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well,
You got to get greasy and sweaty before you play this game. So like, you got to have something, and this game just doesn't have an
Grease up.
offering for that. And I think that like that's one of the many problems with it, where they're not going to be able to cultivate that casual community because they really the game really feels bare bones to me in
to
so
be
many
fair,
ways.
that's something that could easily just be added. That's not
Yeah,
like a
I like
glaring
the
like.
problem is that it's not already there. For a team where they're touting like they really know how to bring an esport to market, that was like the big hype around it. And frankly, I don't think that they do. I really think that Ice Frog brought them all the way.
I don't think anyone knows how to bring an esport to market because you really can't create an esport in
All the
like you
tier
can't.
one ones besides like Overwatch, and that's how it's declining, is like kind of organic. It's like they're long-standing games, and so I don't know.
Mhm.
I feel like everyone's expectations just need to be a little bit lowered for Valorant. I don't know.
I think stuff like the anti-cheat is like really what they were driving at, where it's like this is going to be a competitive environment where like
Mhm.
the matches actually show you like the actual skill of the players. But yeah, as far as but they are kind of letting it doing a more hands-off approach to the esports scene, but they're not really they're letting other third parties host the tournament. So maybe it'll happen organically. Like they're just hoping that by giving the right product, like the community will build
We'll
and run
build it.
with it,
Hmm.
and that
Mhm.
it'll turn into an esport that they can then make a league for.
Which they
Or
do have the shelf for. They have the competitive game. They have the third parties that are interested. They just
Hmm.
need to find a way to bring in those casual viewers who just want to
Well, I mean,
watch Valorant.
it hasn't launched in China yet, as far as I know. So like that's going to be a
that'll be big.
massive market, especially if they do capture that Crossfire audience, and just like having the more magical abilities. It's just appealing to more of a Chinese audience. So that's
That's
going to
what they're
be a
looking
big
for.
big telling. And like apparently there's a bunch of orgs, Eastern orgs that are gearing up
Yeah.
for Valorant.
That was one of the big selling points that they had when they were releasing the beta was that the developers were going to work with the orgs, which they have been. I know they've been in talks with like TSM, and then like listen to the pro players and do updates and give feedback based on that, which they have been good about. But the main problem that we said multiple times is that how capturing that casual audience. Like it's all good for pros, but pros don't bring in the money.
It's
Pros
so
are
funny
pros.
that like the competitive audience is like always asking for exactly what Riot is giving here, which is like just listen to the pros and balance around the pros and like and do all this and but it's just like you have to remember the competitive community is like such a small niche of
Yeah.
most
Hmm.
games. Like you can't build a whole game around it, or maybe you can. Maybe they're going to prove it with this experiment, but it just seems unlikely that they're going to have like enough people caring. But
Yeah, they're
That's
not going to
hard.
field. I don't think that they're going to be able to field of dreams this game. Like they're not going to just build it and people come to it. Like they had a really good strategy with the beta, right? Like the beta keys was a great thing. They got a lot of eyes on it. They got a lot of free press on just because of the numbers that they were getting records, right? Problem is, a lot of people found out through the beta that the game wasn't for them, right? And now you're going to look at your sales, even though it's a free to play game, right? Like your monetization scheme, half your characters are locked behind a paywall. That's going to burn people too. You know,
Their
so,
prices are really high. I've been
they're
saying.
$10 a character.
Mm-hmm.
And for like packages, like skin packages, it's like $70 for like the deluxe, or like 20 for a smaller one. It's like, well, I don't want to spend $20 and only get this, but I'd get all this with 70, but I don't want to spend that
Spend
much. So
70
it
bucks,
just
yeah.
it screws you either
So-
way.
A game that I already don't want to play. You know, like it's like it's just like they're doing so many things wrong with their mini
Yeah.
launch that they're burning a lot of the goodwill that they got from their beta.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like
The-
just going back to the skins thing, that's like my #1 pet peeves about games. First person shooters with skins. Why? Hate it. Hate it so much. You can't see, all you see are your hands. That's it.
Bro,
All you see are your hands. Oh, look at these sick gloves.
For you. It's not for you. It's for everybody else.
Yeah.
Be like, look, I'm fucking flexing right now. That's what it's
Yeah.
about. Yeah,
You're flexing your sick fingers, dude. Sick.
Yeah.
It's for when you're teabagging, they're watching, you know.
Down,
Yeah.
bro. That's
I
what
mean,
this
maybe
whole game is
maybe they'll add emotes. You never know. But like something that I thought was really interesting was one of the guys from the Score Esports, after one of their videos, he said he likes the game a lot, but he's like their main CS:GO guy, and he's like, after playing it, I just want to go play CS:GO instead of playing Valorant. He's like, are you? They're asking all their guys like, are you gonna come? Yeah, I'm gonna play it right after this is over. Blah blah. He's like, no, I just want to go and play CS:GO after playing that. It's
Yeah, I think they made a big mistake with trying to like reach, like they're like, oh, we'll make it a hero shooter like Overwatch, so we'll get those people over, and we'll use like the CS:GO tactical shooter style, and then we'll get every audience at once. But you're just kind of leaving a bad taste in the mouth of all the players, because it's like, over the CS:GO people will be like, I don't want all these abilities and visual clutter and shit like from Overwatch in my tactical shooter, and Overwatch people are like, this is too stiff and
Mhm.
slow. Like I want a high octane stuff. So
Yeah.
they end up just pleasing no one.
That's probably the reason a little bit more why I'm not a big fan of it. It's like it highlight the gameplay revolves around like some of the worst aspects of Overwatch. I find sniping and just like someone just pointing and clicking on you kind of boring to watch, and just like not that fun to be on either end that much. So it's like and this is what this game is all about. And it's like this isn't that fun to me. It's like
Yeah, and there's not a
Yeah.
lot of verticality or anything, so there's not even like skilled positioning with it
Yeah.
either.
like a lot of
Literally
it's like purely
just-
positioning and just like knowing where someone is. You just clicking there, and there's not really much counterplay to it. That's like
Mhm.
something I hate about like the snipers in Overwatch. It's like you can be pulling off this insane string of abilities and like, hitting your shots, but like if someone just like clicks and it's like from across the map, and just like there's nothing you can really do, and I just find that boring and just like not that much fun.
Yeah, well, with Valorant, I really don't like the tactical shoot. It doesn't feel super tactical to me because it's just so like stiff and one-dimensional because of the lack of verticality. Like I think stuff like
Yeah.
Siege is a lot more interesting, where you can kind of see more strategy pulled off because there's more options. Where, like you said, with Valorant, you're just kind of like trying to figure out where they are and then hit the shot when you need to.
Well, maybe that's just like, again, I think I mentioned in the earlier video, just like adding a map with levels, different levels where people can shoot
But this
down
just
at
goes
it.
against the whole design.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
the
well,
whole,
just like something they can do, but I don't know if you think.
to make it cater to us four more.
I don't know. I think that would make it a lot closer to like the Siege experience, because all those maps are on multi-stories, and so you're able to. It has the mechanic of shooting through walls, so it's like you're able to
I think if
integrate
they
that.
branch out and do the game modes thing, and they have a different types of game modes, they don't all have to be competitive, just like something else to watch. Because like maybe the meta in Valorant Team Deathmatch or
Dude,
Valorant King of the Hill is super different, and like I can see Valorant being in. I said Team Deathmatch before, but now that I'm thinking about it, King of the Hill, that could be nuts. You have like one point where you have to.
That could be pretty. I
Yeah.
think that would
Like,
greatly
they ripped
utilize
off the wrong game.
the.
They ripped off the wrong game. They should have ripped off fucking Siege. That's what they should have ripped off.
I think King of the Hill would be really cool with the very low time to kill, which is like this.
Yeah, and then like all the abilities like keeping you like, because most of the abilities are block out your vision and then like keep you off or away from going, so you can like block out the point. Interesting to see.
I feel like they're gonna kind of get stuck in their ways though, with like a rigid like this needs to be a CS:GO clone so we can get that audience. They're just all about
Yeah.
just fucking taking Valve ideas and just making it their own,
Yeah.
more accessible to other people and hopefully eclipsing it in popularity, like with League.
Yeah, they need to just they're trying to recreate League and like eclipse Dota, but they just need to make their own lane. Make you got the bones of CS.
Maybe
Now
Riot
take
just isn't original. They're making like a
Right.
Street Fighter clone as well. Like I don't.
Is that the
maybe not
style they're
original.
going for? The fighting game?
Right, where we do it better.
The Riot fighting game.
Yeah.
It looks it's a 2D fighter. It looks a lot like Street Fighter. It's a limited little stuff they put out, but and then again with the card game, which is supposed to be very good, but I guess it's kind of hard to reinvent a card game. But I'm sure it's
Runeterra.
pretty-
I mean, Gwent
Yeah,
is
Runeterra.
pretty different than the other card games.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar. I just imagine probably similar to Hearthstone, not Gwent, Runeterra.
Or Magic.
But yeah,
But
I'm just
Oh,
worried that like for the esport, they're gonna have to shill out a lot of money just to get people interested in the esport.
Well,
If
these
they
orgs are already interested. They're having all these third-party like tournaments.
but are the people?
I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about long term. Like after 2 seasons of lackluster numbers, are they going to be able to maintain all these orgs year over year?
yeah.
So that is
Yeah.
Riot going to have to put in money like how Epic Games put money into Fortnite to keep their esports scene alive?
Yeah, that's kind of what
Not
the.
that level, obviously, but like they're going to have to put in some money to attract pros if they can't attract them with viewer numbers.
Yeah, because like the problem with third-party events is when you're a pro, you don't necessarily like those kinds of tournaments because they're super unorganized and unscheduled. Like, yeah, one year we may have this third-party tournament, next year no tournament. Now,
Yeah, that's kind of
it's
what
not consistent pay.
that's like a big hindrance the Apex scene has. It's just like the irregular events. Like I have no doubt that Valorant's gonna have a steady pool of pros, but like being able to sustain them and have like orgs like being signed to an org and giving them money to live essentially.
Yeah.
How long are these events gonna be streamlined?
Yeah, that's what my concern is. How are they like not only for Riot Games? How are these orgs going to monetize their pros? Like especially if they don't have a large casual audience that's going to want to watch them, right? Like where is the money going to come from? It has to come from somewhere. And my concern is it's going to be Riot Games for a while until they can get the scene established.
But you think that
Not
the
sustainable.
Overwatch League method of just like having
Buy-ins, especially
but,
how
like,
it's going. I don't think so.
Yeah, definitely not.
no, I mean like
ROI.
like a seasonal league. That's what I meant.
Eventually
Like, you
they'll
think
They
have
don't
to
want
have
to do
one.
it.
They don't wanna
Eventually
do
They
they
don't want to do it yet because
yeah.
Like Riot's already said it. They're not interested in doing it for at least a year.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and then two, how is Riot going to make any money on this game? Because I would love to see, like, it's too early to say now, but I guarantee you the sales of those characters or skins are going to be a lot less than they were expecting.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah, because
Well,
that's how
they
League
jump-
is like able to sustain and like able to maintain operations. There's so many people who just like enjoy playing League and just they put their money in, buy their skins, their champions, their reward tokens, their emotes.
But see, League has those like casual aspects.
Yeah, that's
like
what I was
you
after.
just beam into Valorant, you buy your skins, and now you're in Sweatfest to 2020.
You get to see your skin a lot more when you die, though. So it's good.
Oh,
You get
that's
to see
true.
the whole view of
Honestly,
your
it might be the strat.
I think that's going to burn you out even quicker because you're just going to see $20 flying on the floor constantly. Like, what have I done?
Like, oh yeah, Darren, I'm coming around the corner. I just see Darren's corpse. Like, oh, Darren, sweet skin. How much was that? Oh, great.
Yeah,
Got your
I
money on
feel
the
like
fence.
I think Valorant. I think they jumped the gun on the skin, but overall with the esports scene, they're. I think it's right to go slow and steady. Like it might not pay off if it does like not ever catch fire, but it doesn't make sense to throw like huge prize pools. Like it made sense for Fortnite because it was huge and super popular, so it's just like gasoline on the fire for your game. But with Valorant, it needs the fire still needs to grow right now, and if I just find it hard to imagine like there's gonna be a huge esports scene because just no one.
Well,
It's just such a
to be
small
fair
niche
on
audience.
on Darren's criticism with the skins, I don't think there's character skins. It's all gun skins, and then there's like when you kill someone, I think like different animations might pop
Death
up and stuff like
animations.
that.
All right, gun skins better, but FPS personal skins never. I'm looking at you, Jeff Kaplan. Terrible.
You gotta vote on them.
Oh yeah, you got to emote on them. I don't even have that bound. Don't know how to do it. But back to Valorant. Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see how it all turns out with them. Rooting for them. Not gonna hate on them, but it's just these
There's
are
a
just
trash
like
can in
yeah,
our thumbnail. Don't take it
yeah,
personally.
yeah. Don't take the trash cans personally. We're just very quick to put them out. So yeah,
Trash until proven otherwise is
yeah,
our
Yeah,
motto.
you
Right?
that's a
gotta
good
back
philosophy.
up is what we're saying.
Yeah, especially when you like coming out swinging with 1.5 million views, breaking records. Come on, man. I
I
expect a
mean,
lot.
it would be interesting to see which of the content creators, not necessarily the top tier pros, but the people like breaking down the analytics, like which ones stay, because there, I imagine there's like a ton from all the different games that are coming in to try to vie for like I'm gonna be the go-to Valorant guide person. But, like which one is gonna?
It feels like every Overwatch content creator has a little Valorant side hustle going.
Yeah, it's like
So
which ones are gonna maintain that, and like which ones
I
are
think
gonna.
it's the same deal with the orgs where they're like, we don't want to miss out, so we're going to get it on the ground floor, even if it isn't going to be super profitable immediately. But if we hit it, we'll hit it hard.
Yeah,
I'm just concerned they're in a decade-long haul for this one.
I think they are.
Hey, but if the game can last for a decade, that's
That's a success. Most
Oh,
games
I
can barely
didn't
last
say-
a few
I didn't
months.
say it'll make it there. I'm just saying they're gonna be waiting a decade before they see any of that money back.
I mean,
But
they
again,
already beat
they're still-
Lawbreakers, so.
and they also have League in the back. They're Riot
Don't
Games.
hate on my boy Cliffy B. All right,
Dude, I wanted that game to be sweet.
That game was actually kind of fun to play. It was
was.
just like no one was playing it.
I mean, it had a
They're
true.
crushing Crucible.
Well, I think Crucible crushed Crucible into oblivion.
They were like, oh, they saw Valorant come out, and they're like, oh, people like new game right now? We have new game, right? You guys are ready? Yeah, let's put it out.
Yeah,
absolute
let's
dog
make a
shit.
team game.
Oh my God.
Team game with no voice chat. What's wrong with you?
I mean, that's like the best part, is talking shit to your teammates. It's like, and you can't even do that.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
You think that can save Valorant? You fucking every time you kill somebody, you can talk.
Death chat.
Like,
Death
proximity
chat. That needs to be in every
You've
game.
been promoting death chat since the dawn of time, and like
Yeah.
this is the game that needs to put it in there.
That's a hard one, because like the kids who are getting shit on will cry, but the kids who are doing the shitting on, they'll love it.
It'll
It's
motivate
just-
them to get better.
it-
It'll that much sweeter when they finally get to talk that shit.
Its biggest problem is content. That will create so much content. That will create so many YouTube videos and free press for them because of the wild things that people are going to be saying.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you got to
I think
about it
game.
like
That's a good point. You got to look at your game as like, yeah, you want to do an esport. Yeah, you want to have a casual scene, but you have to think about how your game is gonna get out there, and the best way to do that is through content. And at the end of the day, does your game have content?
Yeah, there's not like the reason like I shit on Valorant so much is because frankly I don't think their business fundamentals are strong. They didn't think about how the game fits into the larger ecosystem, and it showed. You know, like we were talking about it with like with their design choices on the visuals and like the hero shooter aspect. They were trying to pull from too many ways, but they didn't think about how those audiences fit together. Like the young scene that they tried to target, they're brain dead. Their dopamine fried brains are not going to have the patience to be able to play a game where it's very slow paced. So like you miss the target on that, right? So like half of your marketing, and like to your Twitch numbers, like they skew pretty young too on Twitch. So like you're even like with low numbers, how much is your retention on that? You know,
Because
concerning. But I hope they do it because the whole industry is riding on this. So,
Yeah.
I think, to be fair, I think the tournaments and the events for Valorant with having casters going on makes it a lot more enjoyable for like a casual person to watch on Twitch versus just hearing someone sweat it out and just like only talking comms,
Just
like
the sound
strats.
of
Yeah, just like
panting.
just spewing strats. I think someone just bringing some levity, having that commentator. I think having the right finding the right commentators and having those ones be brought up for the major Valorant tournaments, I think will have a
Golden
huge
boy,
impact
national treasure.
Yeah.
on success.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
I hope they can get it together though. Then somebody can just take this playbook and then do it with an interesting game. And then
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully what happens is Valorant proves us wrong and then someone makes a video of us in a trash can. Can't wait to see it. Put us in a trash can on your thumbnail. Do it. But with that being said, we're the Infamy team. We host fantasy esports tournaments on our website, infamy.gg. Check it out, and we'll catch you in our next video. Have a good one.